So I wanted to talk about in today's video which Meliodas, Demon Meliodas, is the best, unit in the game personally, or which one is the best one to use. It depends on your playing style, right? So now there's 3 Demon Meliodas in the game, right? So there's a blue one, there's a red one, and there's going to be a green one, right there. So the green one, right? Now, all 3 of them have, their own purposes. So I want to talk about the red one first because obviously he just came out on Global, and I want to talk about, what they're going to be doing for these units when they do come out. So this unit right here, the red Demon Mele, as you all know, his main thing is going to be against the Crimson Demon, right? So he's there for that reason. He's the strongest one because of his ignites, which that's the main thing about this unit, his ignites, which obviously if you played the Crimson so far with him, you'll know that he does some crazy damage because of it. Basically, when you have a debuff on the Crimson with this Demon Mele, you're going to do a lot more damage, so it's really good to see that from him. And his ultimate has a weak point, so because of his ultimate right here, it's going to do a lot more damage because as you know how, Jericho works, for example, she has a weak point, so it just does a lot more damage. So this unit itself is just really, really nice because of that. Now, for PvP base, he won't really do too much for it, but his PvP base, passive, because this is what it's there for, his passive gives him an increased crit chance by 50%, right? Per dead ally. So if you have 2 allies who die, this unit gets basically 100% boost from that crit chance. So you're gonna be really good with doing crits, right? But the thing is, this unit isn't really, reliable that much for PvP. Like, he'll be there for damage, but you're probably going to get wiped out pretty fast from other opponents. Like, you're fighting the blue Meliodas, the Demon Meliodas. Blue Meliodas is personally my favorite just because he's an attack all unit, which is really fun. But we'll get to him once we finish with the red one. But himself, he's just there for the damage, right? And when it comes to Crimson, that's all he's pushing out for. If you're fighting PvP, you might do some decent damage from him, but he'll probably die really fast, right? So other than PvP base, nothing really there for him. You can use him as a farming unit just because he does a lot of damage. So if you're farming your boss stages, he will do, higher damage because of his ignites as well as his ultimate because of that weak point. But he's not really going to do anything much more for you on the team. Like, he's not really contributing other than that, right? Just that damage scaling. Now, compared to the other 2 Demon Meliodases, I want to talk about the green one first, because the green one we won't see for a little bit longer on Global, but just to give you guys a little bit more hyped about it, the green one is actually a fun unit to have as well, but no one really uses him, even in PvP, for example, because the reason why is, for some reason, this unit, I guess he was just, looked upon, like, I guess he doesn't really, was reliable, basically, but for what this is, the good thing I like about this unit is his passive. So his passive itself, right, basically to translate it, it says, during your turn, if an enemy dies with Meliodas healing the final blow, fill the hero's ultimate move gauge orbs by the number of ultimate move gauge orbs the enemy had. So essentially, let's just say your enemy was close to their ultimate, right? And you ulted them and they died, right? As long as this Meliodas is the one that attacks the enemy and finishes them off, you get all the ultimate move gauge orbs the enemy had. So essentially, if your enemy has an ult and you do an ult, the next turn you get your ult right back, which is why I do like this green Meliodas a lot because of that. But others will say, he's trash because, he's not really doing much other than that. But I just like him because he does that kind of damage. So, but the next thing about him is he prevents ultimate move gauge orbs from filling up from his first skill attack. So that can be very, very helpful. So either on PvP or if you're playing PvE content, right? Because if you can make sure that your enemy does not get their ultimate move gauge orb up, then you're causing a way for them to not ult you. And your ultimates are obviously the strongest attacks that an enemy had, or your player has. So you can stop that from your enemy. You're gonna be pretty much good to go. Now, one other thing to know is that this unit, for his second skill, is an attack all. So he attacks all, right? But the thing is, it's not that much damage. He doesn't do much damage with this card, but he infects. So obviously, infect is the same exact thing that the red Demon Meliodas does, and that restricts recovery-related stats. So he can be good for PvP. You can try him for PvP and see how well he does there. I think he would be good to try, but I don't think he's going to really last, because if you fight, a red type unit, like for example Dairy Airy, Red Dairy. I mean, this is JP, but obviously like just talking about this unit will pretty much lose pretty fast, because if a red type unit's attacking him, obviously the advantage is there, and it's just the Demon Meliodas is probably not going to last that long, really, in fights with this one. But I really like it because he can ult basically twice. If you get your ult and an ult your enemy, and they already have their ults, you're basically getting 2 ults, which is really, really cool, and I think that's a really good thing for this unit. But still, I don't think he is like, I would say he's the second best one. So we have the Red Demon Meliodas, that's third. Personally, I think he's third. This green Meliodas, which is second. And to talk about the first Meliodas, we'll get to him because that is the Meliodas you probably will want. But I know a lot of you guys will probably ask this, what this thing means right here, this little thing right there. So this is going to be a cool feature that will come out sometime soon for global when it happens. Basically, this guarantees you a demon raid drop that you want specifically. So this right here, it's the clothing. So the clothing, as long as you have the clothing, right? Because I know a lot of people are gonna ask this. As long as you have these specific clothing, like this clothing, this specific sword, right, and then this specific hairstyle right here, this is gonna guarantee you a crimson drop. As long as you have this, right, and you have the Meliodas on your team. It doesn't have to be this green one. You can run any of the Demon Meliodases. As long as you have the right clothing on it, you get a guaranteed crimson drop. And the same goes for Gray Demon and Red Demon. You need to have a Jericho, or you need to have this specific Elizabeth. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that when that happens. But just to give you an idea, this right here. So let's just say this unit right here gives you, I believe this was the Gray Demon. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, she gives you the demon for guaranteed. So yeah, anyways, the unit I think is the next unit for sure after, Escanor comes out in global. This blue Demon Meliodas is going to be the unit to have because, one, he is an attack all unit, right? So this card right here is an attack all card. So he also inflicts Pierce. So Pierce is basically a 3x Pierce rate increase, which if you had this unit, especially in PvP, and you have one extra unit that hopefully comes out sometime soon, is a Blue Lilia. Once Blue Lilia comes out, your PvP team is going to be pretty disgusting because the Pierce rating is much higher with this unit for his stats because of how this unit works. But his Pierce rate is at a 40% stat, right? So once you have a Blue Lilia, for example, Blue Lilia gives an additional 50% Pierce rate boost to all units on the team because of her passive. So this unit itself is going to be doing a lot of damage, and it is a lot of damage for sure. So this card itself, I mean, is a 3-star card and does 250% damage. I mean, that's still really good because of how the Pierce rating works, because it's a 3x boost for the Pierce rate. So he just does a lot of damage from that. Now his second skill, this one, it's not an actual attack, it's a debuff. The way the debuff works though, it's that it inflicts corrosion, right? And corrosion is going to do additional damage at the end of every turn, but it's only going to do damage equal to 20% of max HP on all enemies. So however much HP that the enemy has is going to just take away 20% of their full max one, which it can do some, a little bit of damage, but I don't think it's worth it in the long run with this card. I mean, you're going to mainly focus on doing his first skill attack, right? Mainly for that. So, but I mean, it's still really good to have from that. And then obviously his ultimate is the same thing with every single Demon Meliodas. It's the weak point, which weak point just is insane. Three times damage against debuffed enemies, which obviously if you debuff with the second skill attack, you're going to do a lot of damage from his ultimate. So yeah, that's basically those units. Now as his passive, the passive, it's decent. So when the hero has 4 or less ultimate move gauge orbs, the hero's attack skills cannot be disabled. So basically, if you're fighting a Gother or if you're fighting anyone that can disable attack skills, this allows you to not do it as long as he has 4 or less ultimate move gauge orbs. So just be careful, if you're trying to ult really fast, just make sure you're ulting really fast and not, taking a lot of damage out of it. But yeah, these 3 Demon Meliodases are really, really strong. I would personally say the blue one is the best one though, because of an attack all card, which is obviously this first one right here, and then I guess this is attack all as well, but it's a debuff, so it doesn't do too much. And then obviously his ult just does a lot of damage compared to the other two. The other two, I mean, they're specific on what you can use them for, but this blue Demon Meliodas is the unit to have. So after Escanor comes out, and I don't know when the red Escanor is going to come out, but this green Escanor, like I said, I would probably save for this blue Demon Meliodas because this is the one that's going to come out right after, you know, later on in the game. So, not right after, you know, but it will come on later on in the game. But this is the blue Demon Meliodas. This is the best unit, in my opinion, to have for PvP and PvE content because he attacks all. So, hopefully you guys do understand that out of these 3 Meliodases, which one is the best. I believe it's the blue one. Out of the Demon Meliodas, I think it's the blue one. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, drop a like. If you guys have any kind of questions, let me know. And then if you guys have, you know, your specific unit to go towards in this game, let me know in the comments below because I'm curious what units you guys love the most in this game. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Have a great day.